Within our curriculum, we'll step through, starting at the beginning, starting at the most basic things, and we'll step through kind of one at a time. And one of the things that I want to talk about to follow on from my article is Bong Sao. Now, typically, what's going to happen, or what a lot of people think, is if they do the Bong Sao, when they first learn, they think, okay, Bong Sao's a block, and therefore it has to block. So what they'll do is tend to lift it into their face. When I punch, they'll try to block, and because this punch is going forward, they'll end up getting punched. So what we want to do is break it down and start to say, okay, this is not, Bong Sao is not necessarily a block or a complete thing. It's the way we train it is in pieces. So the first part I'm going to teach someone is to roll and get the feeling of how Bong Sao rolls. Once they've got that feeling down, I'm going to get them to start to apply that with a shift. So they're starting to understand the mechanics of Bong Sao and build up from the beginning, instead of kind of looking at it right from the get-go, jumping all the way to the fight and saying, oh, this must be a block of some sort. I'm going to start to get them to build the mechanical pieces. From there, just put your Bong Sao, Dave. From there, I'm going to start to teach a little bit further, and when I punch, good. So now he's starting to teach, starting to learn how the Bong Sao mechanic works. Once we understand that concept, we can start to apply it in the Chi Sao. So when I do some technique, he again can start to learn how to use or practice all of the body mechanics and all of the timing and all of the rotation necessary to make it effective, as opposed to just lifting this into his head like a big old hard style block. So we want to piece it together and not necessarily jump right from the beginning right to the fight situation. We want to build it up from beginning to practical application. So what we're going to do as part of our curriculum is we're going to start with this Bong Sao there, and then we'll do it again. This looks nothing like fighting. Then we'll put it into Chi Sao, which look a little bit more like fighting, but not a lot, because when I fight, I will not put your Bong Sao kind of thing. I will not run in and start to Chi Sao with someone. No, that's not us. So this Chi Sao drill that we have is not realistic to fighting either, so we won't start this way. What we're going to do is we're going to start here, build the Bong Sao. Yeah, good training. We're going to take it into Chi Sao drill, which is still not fighting, but still not completely isolated drill. There it is there. And then once we get good at the Chi Sao, then we're going to take it back into our offhand drill and start to apply it here. And from the offhand, I can then do any attack I want, which means he may not use Bong Sao, but since that's the one we're training, it is what he's going to use. But this offhand is, as you can see, what we're doing is we started with a very well-defined drill context. We broadened it by taking away some rules. Okay, just don't do Bong Sao, do any attack. And then we took it one step further where we actually went offhand, which is one step closer to fighting. So we have this drill progress from beginning through to end that gradually builds or takes away rules so that we can get closer to fighting and further away from training, and we can work wherever we want to in that spectrum to build the skills that we need. And then also we have things like our one-legged stance, which is the golden rooster stance we call it, which trains balance, as you can see, balance, structure, the whole body's nicely lined up. It teaches us or helps us to improve our core muscles and teaches us a number of foundational competencies that are needed to fight. This particular stance, not very useful for fighting. But, okay, you can put your leg down, thanks. But what we're doing here is we're not teaching you necessarily how to fight. We're teaching you one of the skills, one of the pieces that you're going to need in order to fight. In this case, balance, very important when you're fighting. So we want to make the distinction between things that we use to practice a competency, such as balance or core strength, and things that are used to actually fight, which is normally a whole skill, bunch of little competencies put together. So what I want to say is, let's not try to make the bong sao, lift this into your face, look too much like a block when you're training it. Go the golden rooster stance. Let's not make this fighting stance look too much like, or this training stance look too much like a fighting stance when you're training a competency. We're going to put all of these things together. That'll turn into a step. This will be the bong sao will be used with a shift. We're going to put all these things together, and it's going to make us into a complete fighter with all the core pieces and competencies necessary.